Hi, everybody. This is Brad from Tax Defense Ohio. Hope you're well today. We wanted to go over the offer and compromise. So there's really nothing as confused in the public mind with the IRS as an offer and compromise. You've probably all seen those television commercials where they have the announcer and he's got an upbeat thing and he says, "Hey, my client settled his $400,000 tax debt for $39," and they show a guy on a speedboat, having fun in Miami. Um, and kind of the impression that these commercials used to leave was, hey, no matter what you owe the IRS, hire us. We're a good negotiator. We'll get it settled for you, and you'll pay pennies on the dollar. That's the line they always used: pennies on the dollar. That's just not true. Just not true at all. So there is cases where you can settle your tax debt for dramatically less than you owe, but only under specialized circumstances. So probably 95% of the offers in compromise the IRS accepts are when the taxpayer owes a lot of tax money, but they really cannot pay. They're destitute, they're nearly broke. You physically cannot possibly pay that money because you don't have it and you're not going to earn it. So that's who is eligible for an offer in compromise. It's not eligible for someone that has a big house, a mansion, a very expensive car, a boat, vacation properties, making $500,000. That's not who's going to get an offer in compromise. So you're going to get an offer in compromise or be even a candidate for an offer in compromise if the amount of your tax debt exceeds what you can pay. So if you take up your tax debt and divide it by 72 months, okay, so let's say I owe the IRS a couple $100,000 and they determine, hey, you can pay that off over 2,500 bucks a month times 72 months, and you can pay off all your tax debt. And you make 10,000 a month. You make $120,000 a year, and you pay a certain amount for your car, for your mortgage, and bare necessities to live on. Not a nice car, not a Cadillac, not a Porsche, normal people car. You know what I mean? You get a little bit to live off of and not much more. If after all your expenses you have $2,500 in money available, and they're not counting your cable TV bill. Okay, they're not fancy new clothes or any of that kind of stuff. What goes into it is your bare basic IRS minimum national standards of, like here in Columbus, Ohio, it might be $1,800 for your general living expenses, and anything you make above that, hey, that's collectible. The RCP, realizable collection potential to the IRS. So it's not just let's make a deal, let's negotiate. It's a matter of skill, or it's not like that. The 95% of the offers are people owe more than they can really pay. Then you have the means to negotiate. So it's a very complicated process. There's a couple different forms that have to be filled out. You have to fill out a 656, which is the offer form itself. Hey, here's how much I owe. Here's how much I can pay. Here's what my offer is. And then there's another form called a 433. The 433 lists all your income. Okay, every source of income you have, from your job to interest to dividends to rents received, and all your assets. So everything you own, from your house to your car to if you have a fancy watch, if you have an art collection, if you have a roll, everything that you own has to be accounted for. And they go through, hey, here's John Smith's assets, John Smith's income, and what John Smith owes. And it's almost a formulaic process of, hey, here's what you earn and what you own compared to what you owe. And they just determine, do you have enough to live off of as a normal person in America? Not living a great lifestyle, but just a normal lifestyle. Can you afford to pay monthly the tax that's due? So if you chop up that money, divide it by 72 months, hey, can you afford to pay it or not? That's how the process works. There is some stuff that you can wiggle room a little bit. If you have specialized medical conditions that's an extraordinary nature that costs a lot of money, and that's where your extra funds go to, yeah, you can add those back in. If you have court ordered debt, like if you're in a bankruptcy repayment, or some other mechanism where you have child support, something like that, where, hey, I have this money, but this money all goes out, I don't get it, I don't touch it, I can't spend it. That's something else that can come into consideration. But generally, if you can afford to pay your tax debt, you must. And it doesn't mean pay today. It means, hey, can I pay it over 6 years? That's how the process works. So a lot of times we get calls from potential clients. Hey, I owe 20 grand. And gee whiz, I really, it put a cramp on my lifestyle. I can't go on vacation this year to Florida if I have to pay my tax. Can you help me out? Generally, no. Generally, no. I mean, I can get you an installment agreement, so you pay that debt over time. But just because you don't want to pay your tax doesn't mean you're a candidate for an offer in compromise. So I'm Brad with Tax Defense Ohio. If you want to check out my book on Amazon, get the IRS off your back. Go through a lot of this stuff right there. Um, but the another thing that people don't think about or maybe aren't aware of, instead of an offer in compromise, if you're broke right now, but you think you're going to get a job, you can call the IRS and say, hey, I'm currently not collectible. I don't have any money right now. I can't pay right now. Generally, they'll give you a break for 6 months or a year, and then you can follow back up and say, hey, I've got a job again or I don't. And that's a much easier process. You'll have to send them some wage statements. They'll want to see some bank statements and things like that. But it's far easier to do for the average taxpayer than working an offer and compromise. So if you got any questions, give us a call or shoot us a message. Check us out on taxdefenseohio.com. Thanks.